I'll dive right in. The name of this talk is The Way Forward, Peace. And it's hinges on what was talked about actually in the reading today, oneness and the importance of oneness in order to bring peace. So I'm going to go deep with you real fast. So bear with me, but know that the depths of our power to activate peace in the midst of what feels like chaos requires depth. So that's why we're going to dive right in. So the reality is the problems of our lives are illusions. They are indeed opportunities to experience something we have called in, created and intended to feel. What if there were a way forward that allows us to see the wholeness, perfection, and blessing in every situation, every perceived problem or issue that arises? Instead of feeling disempowered, we feel empowered by opportunity. So this speaks to the heart of the issue for me. My wife will tell you, even though I get to stand up here and share, I'm sharing what I'm learning. I'm sharing what I'm practicing. And I know that transcendent power of peace and what it brings. But I also know it's not always easy. It's simple, right? But it's not always easy to activate. And it's about letting go of control. Letting go of the control of your thinking from the lower levels of consciousness, from the personality level of who you think you are. That's a sure way to peace. But how does that work? How do you let go of that level of personality, limited conditioned thinking, that lower level of consciousness that we typically identify with as us? Well, it involves expanding our awareness to levels of consciousness that knows they are more than the body. It involves expanding our awareness beyond those levels of thinking that think we are the body. So these levels of consciousness recognize that we are the essence of all things. That oneness that we talk about, the levels of consciousness that actually know. This level of consciousness I like to call genius can be accessed in many ways, and it is very responsive. And why is that important? Because if we're to release suffering, if we're to find peace in an ever-changing existence, then we must learn to release control and align with the divine intelligence that knows exactly how harmony is achieved. So that's a lot. And it can sound theoretical or philosophical. But in practice, when we're able to connect with that presence through simple breathing, through bringing our awareness to our bodies and beginning to relax, beginning to notice, letting go of the tension, taking our focus off of the mind chatter and putting it somewhere else, within even. Whatever practice works for us, that's when we make it practical. That's when we take it from the philosophical and we begin to focus our attention on not only recognizing the principle of oneness, but realizing that principle. I've often enjoyed the definition of understanding, like we understand we are one. Recognition, we start to see the patterns that we are one. In realization, we begin to know we are one. That requires that higher level of consciousness and accessing it. And many of us use our practices, and it's not foreign to some of us. Some of us have forgotten. But moving from philosophy to practicality is the way forward to peace. And it's not easy, I'll repeat, it's not easy, but it's very possible through our practice. And sometimes we need reminders. Have you ever been reminded physically that you're out of alignment and that you've forgotten your oneness? Yeah. I've been going through that reminder. The doctor told me, you may have an ulcer. After going through an accelerated 6 weeks to finish a undergrad degree. I finished, thank goodness. Thank you. I was almost at the finish line. In the last 6 weeks, I was going to bed like, oh, my stomach every night. And then the mornings, oh, my stomach. I go into my meditation, doing my best to relieve it. And it hit the crux over Thanksgiving. Over Thanksgiving, we went to Pittsburgh, North Carolina. And maybe 28 of us, my wife, 28 of us all gathered on the farm. We do this every other year. And honestly, I was kind of struggling because I had a paper, 62-page paper I was finishing, plus another paper for another class, plus 2 exams, all due the 26th. I think Thanksgiving was like, the 25th or something? It was ridiculous. So I'm like, Source, you told me to do this. Why is it happening this way? Why? I had so much resistance to the way it was going down. My wife didn't like it either. And so while everybody else is having a good time doing the thing, I'm in there studying and come out every now and then to spend a little time. Then I got to go back to the books because I got a deadline. And I got to tell you, I was second guessing the guidance I had received over a year ago to go back to school. Like, I just don't understand what this is about. And it was really hard to accept what was going on. And all of a sudden, my stomach just started hurting more and more and more. And finally, it was to the point where I was on my knees. And we were planning to go to the doctor. Thankfully, the neighbor was an ER doctor and played a house call. So we didn't have to sit in line. She came up to the bedroom, checked me out, asked me my symptoms, said, yeah, you probably got an ulcer and something else going on. Make sure to see your doctor. I did. Long story short, taking care of it. But it showed me the physical manifestation of my stress. I didn't even know I was stressing, I'll be honest. I'm looking at my tasks and like, okay, I gotta get this done, okay. And I'm thinking determination. I'm gonna power through this. I gotta forego this, forego this, okay. Don't like it, but I'm gonna power through. All of a sudden I start doing that and it's like, oh, it hurts. What's going on? And every time I'd look at the list, oh, it hurts. I'm like, okay, that's stress. I didn't know that was stress. It taught me. It's like, wow, okay. Stress doesn't have to be just the quality of the thoughts you're thinking about. I got to get this done. It can be the vibration you're bringing to it. The vibration I was bringing to it was lack. Like, oh man, I've got to do this and I can't do that. I lack the ability to do what I want to do, but I'm going to get this done anyway. You know, I was suffering galore and I didn't know. But guess what? We have this wonderful system called a physical body that will let you know if you're not paying attention, sometimes the hard way. And so since then, every time I begin to stress, I feel it. And I'm grateful. It's helping me remember that vibration isn't what I need. Had I been taking the same awareness and practice to the work that I'd been doing prior to going back to school, I probably wouldn't have ended up in that situation, I'll be honest. But sometimes we move into things where that morning practice or that meditation practice or whatever it is that helps us begin to recognize, realize, and remember we're one, we move into something else and totally forget it, right? The practice is to help us make it a habit. So when we're in the situation, we begin to remember and bring that back. And if we forget, it's okay, because there are plenty of things designed within us to remind us. So I give thanks for that. Any situation has infinite possibilities already present. So this is actually the conundrum for those who remain in the limited condition thinking like I was. We forget and don't realize the power we have to transcend the suffering and bring peace. Even when I, John, the speaker, teacher, Billboard charting singer, songwriter, et cetera, fall into troubled waters, I become the struggling, the struggling person who forgets as well and is treading water trying to remember my power. I find myself forgetting at times and tap into this healing intelligence that not only guides my thinking, but brings forth powerful source energy to relieve the blocks, the stress, the tension I have created, at times subconsciously. And it guides me to a state of inner harmony, a state of peace that is relative. At times, it's a state of acceptance and bliss. At other times, it's a state of transcendence and wonder. This is the power of letting go of control and allowing yourself to be guided by that divine intelligence. So now, when the pain comes and I'm reminded, I breathe, relax. Sometimes I place my hand on my belly and I begin to align, allow, let go. Align, allow, let go. And I let that source energy come in and do its thing. And it's such a powerful way for me to remember. So whatever practice you're using, if it works in the moment for you, great. Let that help you align, because that's best to allow yourself to let go and access the higher levels of consciousness so that you can find peace. Peace being relative, what does that mean? That means whether it is a situation where I feel discomfort, fear, pain, I'm able to access peace. Does peace change the external? Not necessarily. Have you ever heard someone say, I wish for a world of peace, right? Nothing wrong with that. But if we wait on that, we might miss our opportunity for peace, because it's not dependent on the external. Peace precedes external dependency, as we are at peace until we project that power elsewhere. But it also transcends and nullifies this limitation. Peace brings you into a state of knowing that feels and realizes all is well and always is, not just affirms. We can affirm, we can recognize, we can understand, and once we realize and know, it is done. That's the peace that's our birthright whenever we wish. But here's the question, or a question. Why do we not achieve it? If we have this power at our beck and call, why do we not achieve it? A better question is, what do we choose instead? Often we choose suffering, because that's what fills us up with fulfillment in the moment. Believe it or not, many of us are in a state of perpetual fear. Fear of missing out. FOMO, as the youth call it, right? You ever seen the social addiction where you can't seem to put down the phone and checking every minute, people who have that issue? Or they have the phantom vibrations of the phone. Phone's not actually there, that's a real thing. In our time, phantom watch. In our time, phantom phone ringing is a real thing. How interesting that is, right? That wonderful fear of missing out keeps a lot of people tuned in, some of our family members, to the news. Have to feel like they want to keep up with every breaking story. Can't break away, right? Nothing wrong with that by any means, all of it. Nothing wrong with any of it. The question is, how does it feel? How does it make us feel, right? I've had to curtail my social interaction. A long time ago, decided to cut out the news. Many of us have learned that wonderful tip if you don't want to feel anxious. But cutting out and creating systems to put in place boundaries for the things that make us feel stress and fear. I've learned that that is important, and the question becomes, how does it feel when you engage in the behavior you engage in? Does it feel fulfilling? If it feels fulfilling, have at it. If not, it becomes the question of, is my behavior something I'm just not aware of what it's really creating? And can I become more aware of what I'm creating internally? Sometimes we choose things that we're, let's say, addicted to or out of habit just because it nullifies something or makes us feel a certain way instead of dealing with something else. This was me and alcohol. Alcohol was my favorite go-to to feel a little better, and there were things that I wasn't dealing with internally. It was a way to kind of escape those, and when I stopped using alcohol and had to deal with those things, I was like, oh, okay. Now it's time to get real, go a little deeper. And again, no judgment. I'll be the first to tell you I've used many things to distract myself from healing work and enjoyed it. And that was my path. That was what I was supposed to be doing at that time until it's enough. So we choose suffering because we kind of like it. Case in point. Anyone grow up watching scary movies? Why would anybody go to something and be scared to death? Right? Why? I did it too growing up. Now I don't do it, not because it scares me, it's just, after you've seen a lot, you're kind of like, that's not even scary anymore. But isn't that an interesting phenomenon? You have a genre designed to scare the poop out of you. And if you are scared, those people who like that genre, then it was a success. We love fear. But some of us don't even realize it, right? Me and my wife talk about drama. We finally found a drama that we love together. Anybody ever seen Suits? Yeah. So we watched this show called Suits. I'm not a drama guy. I don't really like, but I love that show. I'm like, I don't know what it is about it. It's fascinating. It's so much drama. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, here we go again. The Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde scenario, right? Somebody turns from compassionate to vindictive. It's this different patterns of drama, but we love it. We certainly love it. We tune into it all the time. But then we do the same thing in our lives often, these different genres. So that's why I'm saying there's no judgment. It's just the things we create and attract in our lives. We bring these things about on a global scale. The conflicts of wars and nefarious plots, the scary storylines, right? We co-create this wonderful mix of drama, of fear, of suffering. Now, does that mean we should be insensitive anyway? Of course not. That's not love, right? Does that mean we should be judgmental? No. That's not love. It means we should be aware. The path to peace is beginning to accept the reality. Yes, it is an illusion, and yes, it can scare the freaking heck out of us. Yes, it is an illusion, and yes, we love to suffer. As we become aware, we can suddenly begin to expand that awareness and get to the place where we choose differently. But if we're in denial, if we're insistent upon its realness, it's really hard to break out and see it's an illusion. If we're insistent upon justifying our victimhood, looking back on our stories and saying, this happened to me, I am a victim, it's really hard to see it as an illusion. It's really hard to see it as part of the perfection. Often we choose to invest belief in the reality of these things and want to fight them and show up and defeat them instead of letting go and accessing that higher level. And I can tell you, that's been the greatest lesson for me lately. Practicing letting go. Not easy by any means, but I'll leave you with this. The peace that comes from letting go, that comes through our practice, is our birthright. Sometimes we may choose the suffering, but that's okay. Peace is tuning into and trusting this higher level of knowing to be our North Star. Thus, you're able to look back at any action and let go of the conditioned thinking of right and wrong, of guilt and shame, that the world and carnal collective consciousness has made its own. To simply release it and be free to hear that which the divine, the Most High, says is so. If it is so based on the word of the Most High, our own inner knowing, at the highest level of consciousness, then so it is. Let no one tell you otherwise. This is the way to peace. What is for you, and no one can change that. If the I am, the great creator of all that is, the essence of who you are, tells you what is yours to know, to do, to be, as you listen and trust, then you cast off all things that are out of alignment with the truth of who you are, who you're here to be, and your road to peace. That's your way forward to freedom. That is your road to the great expression of limitless love and light you came to be. That is the answer. The way forward to peace is you. So, do you have a way to tune into your inner guidance? That's the question. Do you have a way to listen, to align, and to follow that North Star? If you don't have a practice already, of course, I encourage you to find one. And then we have a wonderful one called the Alignment Meditation, Aligned Inquiry. You can pick that up. But finally, as we move toward peace, it's not that we expect the world to go a certain way. For we are the peace on earth, even in the midst of war. It does not require everything around us to change. We are the peace that the divine has called upon. We bring inner peace to the appearance of chaos, that we might shine a light from the hill and let the world know love is always here. The hands of God, the eyes of God, the heart of God. to be the reminder of the way forward. Peace. So it is. So this song speaks to the message. Love to call the band back up to join me. And peace, I give thanks for because it allows us to see the misery in a whole different light. To see its perfection, to see how it's actually for us, for our growth, for our transformation. Check this out. There's a feeling we all want. Sometimes it seems impossible, but it's truly what you came here for. Let me show you how to feel it more. A feeling once you learn to navigate, accepting all you contemplate. Let go, my friend, and don't resist. Trust into this and feel the bliss. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not hard when you choose differently. What you want ain't always what you think, so be here now. Accept it all and just allow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything's exactly how it should be. Sufferings, resisting what you don't want to feel. Accept it all and be healed. Whatever comes up in your soul, recognize it all and just let go. Release the labels, let it flow. Allow and know what you know. If your feelings, thoughts, and stimuli are all a part of the divine, then all is well and always is. Trust into this and feel the bliss. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not hard when you choose differently. What you want ain't always what you think, so be here now. Accept it all and just allow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything's exactly how it should be. Sufferings, resisting what you don't want to feel. Accept it all and be healed. Yeah, yeah. Before you were born, you chose this life to remember you were love and light. Understand that it's all here for you. A plan to help you know the truth. The divine uses everything to show you its love. Are you remembering? If there's one thing you can trust, you can always count on love. Yeah, 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 yeah. Whoa, yeah. You can always count on love. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Ooh. There's a feeling we all want. Sometimes it seems impossible, but it's truly what you came here for. Let me show you how to feel it more. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's not hard when you choose differently. What you want ain't always what you think, so be here now. Accept it all and just allow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything's exactly how it should be. Sufferings, resisting what
what you don't want to feel. Accept it all and be healed, yeah, yeah. It's not hard when you choose differently. What you want ain't always what you think, so be here now. Accept it all and just allow, yeah, yeah. Everything